Hello and welcome to another video. So this week I am planning out the week of June the 8th through June the 14th in my Erin Condren Hourly Neutral Life Planner. You can see the layout here, and this week's video is going to be a little different than usual. So this week I was participating in the Black Lives Matter Planner Challenge. You can find the hashtag on Instagram and maybe also on YouTube. And a lot of people participated basically in order to show support and awareness of Black Lives Matter. People decorated their planner spreads this week in black and white. And so that's what I'm going to do again, as well as added quotes from inspirational Black authors. So you saw me lay down my tools. I'm only using my black gel pen and a gray mild liner. Later, I decided to toss in a black, brush pen, but you'll see that here in a second. So the first thing that I wanted to contend with was this corner up here. Even though this is the Neutral Life Planner, it's not really neutral. It's just kind of muted. So that hexagon was a bluish color, and that's not black and white. So I really wanted to get rid of that because I wanted everything on my spread to be black and white. So I whited that out. And then I started to cover this corner with various black and white and silver washi tapes. And I really like how it came out. I thought that I don't know, I just like this corner. It's very fun. So I made these little washi tape strips and cut them along the edges to the right to give it a more unfinished look. A little more I like the dimension that the ripped edge of the washi tape gives the spread. So I work on that here, and that's going to take me a while, which means that this is a good time to enter the time lapse for this video. And so now the screen is at 3 times speed, and periodically throughout this video I am going to be filling in spaces with more background music than usual because there were different elements of this that took a significant chunk of time. I think usually I plan for maybe 40 minutes or so on a weekly spread, but this week, because there were so many different elements that I worked hard to get in here, they took a bit more time, and I spent maybe an hour and 10 minutes working on this spread. And so there are going to be times, especially maybe around the last half, where I'm just doing the same thing over and over and over again, and it took me time in real life to do it, but there's not much to say about it, and you'll see more background music than usual. But once I got all of my washi tape down, I flipped the page over, and I'm using this notepad just to keep from cutting into my desk, and a ruler and an X-Acto knife to trim off the edges because I didn't have scissors nearby. So I just did that to clean it up, and I like how it looked. I think that it came out really well. Then at the bottom, I'm putting down this black with falling books washi tape. I especially liked being able to tie in these books in the washi tape because the quote that I picked is actually from a book that I read, and so you'll see that here in a second, but I thought that it tied it in really well. The fact that there was this black and white theme with a bookish theme, and then the quote was from a book, and I felt like that gave the spread some uniformity. So I put that at the bottom. This strip does go into the space where I usually map out Instagram posts, but I wasn't even doing that this week, so it wasn't an issue that it took up that space. Now I'm going in with my mild liner to make checkboxes, and I start by outlining my morning routine, which by the end of this week I completely decided to change, so I stopped using it. Really, especially on the weekend, but at the time I was mapping it out here. And I did that on this side, and then I'm also drawing lines around my eating windows, when I plan for meals, but I also didn't follow that this week. This planner was only useful to me on 2 out of 7 days this week, maybe 3. Yeah, just because my schedule was all over the place, but when I was filming this video over a week ago, that was not necessarily the case. So I also put in some mild liner tick boxes to outline time that I wanted to spend on YouTube and reading. So I put that in. And I do that on this side and I do that on the next side as well. And then at the bottom, I'm marking that at 7:30 on Tuesday, Carol Anderson, the author of White Rage, was doing a live discussion hosted by Bloomsbury on their Twitter and Facebook page. And so I wanted to make sure that I signed on for that so that I could listen to it. And that was on Tuesday afternoon, or actually evening. And now I'm going to fill in all of the letters. So this is a point where I'm going to stop talking and put in some music. Alright, so this is going to take some explaining. I whited out the dates at the top because I wanted to use these Happy Planner letter stickers to outline the words Black Lives Matter across the top of the spread. And originally, I thought that I would lay these stickers down, trace the letters, and then pull the stickers up. But I realized that the bleed area around the stickers, the like white part around the colored area that printers leave for any errors in cutting, right? If it's off by a little bit, then it doesn't cut into the colored part of the sticker. Those areas were thicker than I thought they would be. And so that meant that the shapes of the letters were not very well defined. For example, the C was basically almost an oval shaped sticker. And so if I had traced the letters, that wasn't going to work at all because the shapes would end up being weird blobs. So then I was like, okay, well, they're not black and white letters, so how else can I get this to work? And I ultimately decided to just color them in with my black pen because I also knew that I didn't have a black marker that was opaque enough to cover the color. It would just be kind of gray. I think the only black marker I have is a Crayola Super Tip, and it's not a very black. So I started to use my gel pen. And this is the part that took maybe the longest of this whole spread. It took like a third of the whole time I spent planning was maybe just coloring in these letters. And at the end, I really like how it came out. I think that the size of the letters, even though I had to white out the dates because they didn't fit with the letters, really centers the main idea of this whole spread and the message that we were trying to get across. But wow, this took some time. Another thing that was weird about these stickers is that there was this like offset shadow outline thing that was also not black and white. So I had to try to trace over that, but it was so small that my pen like tip size plus the inaccuracy of my hand meant that those lines are actually kind of wobbly. And I think that from a distance it looks really nice, but if you look close, it's definitely a little wobbly, especially near the end where I was getting really tired. Those lines aren't nearly as straight as I would have liked them to be. I tried using a ruler for a bit, but outlining and like eyeballing where the ruler was versus where my pen was versus where the final line would be was also kind of hard for me. So I just colored it in. I took my time, tried to be as accurate as I could, and at the end I feel like it actually came out quite well. So then I didn't end up needing to peel the stickers back up because I just recolored them so that they matched the spread. And finally, with this last R, I have just about finished recoloring all of the letters. There we go. And so now I'm going to zoom out so that you can really see it. And it worked out. I wasn't sure how to space the letters. I tried counting, and ultimately, if I tried to do half and half, then the word lives was going to be split across the coil, and that was going to be weird. So there's this really weird space over to the left that I had to deal with later. Then, because I whited out the dates, I had to figure out how else to kind of keep track of what date it was. And I decided to just give up on the days of the week. I know the order of the days of the week. And instead just put in these number stickers. These are number stickers from Planning with Kay. She specializes in bullet journaling. So she has both a YouTube channel and an Etsy shop. Or actually, she has her standalone shop now. I think she has moved away from Etsy, but that's where these stickers are from. And I originally bought them when I was bullet journaling, but every now and again I like to mix them into some of my like pre-printed planners, because I think they bring something a little different with the doodly element that they've got going on in the font. Then I went in and I whited out the hours at 8 and 9 because I wanted to use those lines to put in my quote. So then I also end up whitening out the vertical lines too, but that takes me a second. And here I'm testing pens. I decided to go for my brush pen for some emphasis. And I haven't used my brush pen in a while because I have two of them. I bought a pack of these Tombow brush pens, and they came with a heart and a soft tip. And one of them I used enough that it started to run out of ink, and the other I hadn't used as much. So I had to hunt it down, but I eventually found it. And the quote that I decided to pick is by N.K. Jemisin from the 5th season. So it says, "For all those who have to fight for the respect that everyone else is given without question." And I thought that it was very applicable to this spread. And I used the brush pen to emphasize the words "fight for the respect," because I feel like that's so important to what's going on right now. And then I used just a regular tall kind of monoline font for all of the other words. And then when I get to N.K. Jemisin's name, I use the brush pen again for that. And then this is from her book, The 5th Season, which I wrote out in script. The 5th Season is such a good book. It's the only book by N.K. Jemisin I have read so far. And I started the second book. It's the first of a trilogy, but I haven't finished it yet. However, it's very good. It's a 3-time Hugo Award winning series. The Hugo Awards are given to sci-fi and fantasy novels, and I don't remember everything about them. I just know that it's a pretty prestigious award, and I think that this series was one of the first to win the award consecutively for like all 3 books. Every single book in this trilogy won a Hugo Award, which is like unprecedented and super cool, and I'm really excited to someday get to the rest of the books because the first one was so good. So you should check it out. That's where the quote is from. And now we're basically done. I added some more washi tape to kind of fill in that section to the right of my quote. And this is it. This is my final spread. I really like how it came out. I enjoyed using it this week. Yeah. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.